After configuring a policy, you can create and configure an email archiving job. A policy is a guideline, and a job is the operation that enforces it. Creating and configuring an email archiving job begins from Admin on the panel on the left under Archiving, then Agents, and then Email Archiving. Once you're there, click the Create button on the bottom left. A dialog box will open up, allowing you to select the source type from the drop-down. Here, select Exchange. Give the job a name and then click Create. Now, select your newly created job from the panel on the left under Email Archiving. Several tabs will appear in the middle portion of your screen. First, select the Criteria tab. Under Source, you will see several items: Mailbox, Primary, and Archives. Mailbox includes primary, which are archive messages residing in live mail, or archives, which are archived mail residing in archives. You can also choose both. You can also choose to archive regular PST files by making that selection. Under Output Destination, click Change. Here, choose Archives. Then click OK. Now, leave Do Not Mark as Archived unchecked, so that archive tags are placed on messages that are successfully archived. The job will then skip messages that are already archived. Leave Delete Items from Source after archiving unchecked as well, as it is not recommended that you delete items. Next, we have a few additional options. First, let's select the checkbox to archive MIM headers. After that, let's enable the option to exclude draft items, which will exclude drafts from all mailbox folders, including recoverable item folders. Under Indexing, if you have previously configured a storage location and don't intend to index the archive data, leave the options in the Indexing section unchecked. This allows you to only archive the content. If you have previously configured a live location and intend to index the archive data, then you must first configure an indexing job. Then, in the Indexing section here, select the Enable Real-Time Indexing option. This allows you to search messages as soon as they are archived. Enabling this option may slow down processing time, but it is recommended. Moving down to the Retention section, let's select the checkbox for Apply Retention Flag. Thereafter, let's set the number of days corresponding to the retention policy already established. You can also enter a date field, i.e. date created or the delivery date. In order to comply with regulatory and best practices, select Non-Erasable Format. This will create non-rewritable, non-erasable worm files, which prevent critical files from being altered or deleted until the specified retention date has been reached. Next, you can check the box to apply a legal hold to custodian email archives included in your IPRO search case. Address books are next. You have the option to export personal address books to XML format. Thereafter, you can choose to overwrite any matching item in the target location by selecting Overwrite Existing Archives. We will leave this unchecked. Process failed accounts can be left unchecked as well, unless running a job to remediate a failed archive job. If you want to remove attachments from messages being archived, select Also Strip Attachments from Messages Being Archived. Once you're set making your selections, click Save in the bottom left corner. Now, let's move on to the Job Settings tab in the upper left. First, go ahead and give your job a description if you want to. Then, under Policy, select the drop-down and choose the applicable policy. Under Job Priority, choose the priority from low to high, with normal being the default. If jobs are running concurrently, making this selection will determine which job in the queue is selected by the job manager. Next, we have Schedule. If you want to run the job regularly, set a schedule. You can choose daily and then select a specified time. You can also choose weekly, select a date, or select every X number of minutes. Lastly, you can select Disable if you don't intend to set a schedule. You can also choose to run now if you want the job to run immediately. Let's enter a time of 6 a.m. Then select Weekly. Finally, select Sunday for the day. Now let's move on to users. Click Select to find the users to include in the job. Here you can list users by filter to include user ID filter, list users by type, including all, users only, or group only. And you can list users of group or list users from SSV file. Let's select the List Users button. The window on the left populates. Select a few users or groups to include. Once you're done, click Add. When all the users are moved to the window on the right, they are now included. When you're all set, click OK. Then click Save to save everything configured within the Job Settings tab. Now let's select the Summary tab to see a summary of all configurations. Note, these can be printed if desired. Once these have been reviewed, move on to the Log Settings tab. Log settings will allow you to enable logs for troubleshooting later on. Let's leave these settings as is. If you're all set, click Save in the bottom left. This concludes the video on how to create and configure an email archiving job.